The greatest danger that I feel that faces us now is the passivity of ordinary good people. The unwillingness to engage and participate. So we have this curious phenomenon of spiritual people who are completely passive and disengaged politically, environmentally, socially, yet they consider themselves to be spiritual people. That is not an indigenous position. The indigenous people that I learnt from, and several of them with whom I've been in contact, have always said we are the powers of the human self, our spirit, our bodies, our intellect and minds, our emotions. All this is one. They said that ancient tradition of yours in Britain was not just a spiritual tradition, but it included all those other elements. Our spiritual people, I would say now, are called to become active, to engage on some level. But not in an angry way, not in a way that somehow, it doesn't have to be that, but to step forward as what those Native Americans called peace chiefs. Now, the peace chiefs were women and men who trained over years in the military arts of battle for their people. The military in that context and in those times did not have the connotations that it tends to have for us now. These are the people who protected the people, kept them safe. They were loved by those who were bearing babies and young children because they held the outer circle. They were always a little dangerous because if they ever lost the plot, lost the message, lost the real thing, then of course they're dangerous, they're that. But the peace chiefs were warriors, women and men who trained, and in that final moment, when having reached the very zenith of their powers as a warrior, and being acknowledged as such, chose in the ceremony to lay down their weapons and promised that they would never ever pick up those weapons again, or ever be included in any act of violence, that they would dedicate all of that chieftainship, all of that integrity, all of that discipline, all of that responsibility towards the way of peace for the people. I really feel this is our huge thing. We are careering on a path towards a world that we would dread to think of our children and grandchildren inhabiting. And yet so many of us continue to choose to live our small little life, attending to the little things, meditating some, praying some, doing our thing, but never truly stepping forward, stepping up and saying, I give myself to this time. I am called by my people, by our earth, to stand for her. If we manage that, then the world of our longing is within our grasp. Isn't it almost the one true thing that you could give yourself, that I could give myself in this life? Is to say I stepped forward and courageously, in every way that I could, brought myself to the present situation, the reality, the truth of this time. I was generous in the deployment of my gifts. I met my fears and I walked towards them, to the whole of my capacity and potential. I have brought myself to this life. And wouldn't that be a most wonderful and joyful feeling? It would for me. And there are 3 questions I'll leave you with that I feel very, very profoundly important. What is it that I most deeply and profoundly love? Now, this is like a pebble thrown into a lake, so of course, I say of course, but hopefully, not always, but our mother, father, immediate family, children. But it goes out. Who are your children? Just your children or our children? What is it that you most deeply and profoundly love? Second question. What are my deepest and most profound gifts? So many people have no sense of their real gifts. In fact, they walk a whole lifetime feeling that somehow creation, when it was dishing out the gifts, shortchanged them. Native Americans would say that is bullshit. It is the challenge of the human to find their gifts. And the third is, what are my deepest and most profound responsibilities? And when you align the answers to what you love, your gifts and your responsibilities, and then take action, we have at least the chance of a life well lived, and something which will gift the people. And deep in this is a remembrance that our earth is sacred. All her beings are sacred. And that it is important that we remember this and step forward and have fun and be joyful. And then the day will come when we die. And we can all have our beliefs about what happens afterwards. But right now we're here. Thank you very much.